Welcome back. One of our key pillars to building a better Bay Area is tracking how the pandemic has changed the landscape of the workplace. As we transition toward the endemic phase, companies are finally calling employees back into the office. ABC7 has partnered with Sequoia. That's a people investment consulting firm that surveyed hundreds of companies across the U.S. to see exactly how workplaces have changed. Joining us now to talk about the key findings is the Vice President of Communications for Sequoia, Netta Conyers-Haynes. Netta, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. Tell us about the overall findings from this survey. Are companies preparing to bring people back?
Hi, Liz. Yeah, thanks for having me. So we've been studying the impact of the global pandemic since 2020 through a series of employer reports and surveys that can be found on dataforest.sequoia.com. And this time around, we asked 459 employers about their plans for returning to the workplace, how they're creating a more flexible workplace, and how are they taking care of the well-being of their people. And so most of the respondents are California technology-based companies, mid-sized companies between 100 and 499 employers, and lots of great findings, particularly around when people are planning to require their employees to come back to work.
So we do actually have the results of one of those questions, which you asked the companies, when do you plan to require employees return to the office? Many, it seems like, are still undecided, 37% undecided, about 24% say this spring. Is there something that stood out to you the most about this? Are you surprised to see these numbers?
Yeah, I think it is a bit surprising that in November, only 6%, as you said they were returning in the spring, and now it's 24%. But I think what it tells us is that the world is opening back up, and so are the workplaces as well. So companies are gearing up for a return, but I think what's also interesting, there's not a lot of employees back in the workforce right now. So we might see that shift.
Right, with 24% saying they plan to return this spring, that means 75% are either undecided or not yet returning. That's a lot of the workforce, though, still not going back to the office.
Yes, and I think the Omicron variant had a big factor in why employers are undecided, right? That kind of shut down the world again. So we do know that a lot of employers said they're undecided because they don't know what to expect with variants or subvariants.
How much of the Great Resignation and the fear that employees are going to quit if they have to come back to the office in person, how much is that having an impact on these companies as they return to the office?
Yeah, I think companies are certainly paying attention to that, and that's why they're creating more flexible work arrangements, right? We've seen a huge spike in hybrid workplaces where employees, they're not required to be, or most employees aren't required to be in the office every day, maybe only a few days a week. So for sure, companies are paying attention to that and employees' needs, and they're adjusting workplace requirements.
So if you could talk, Netta, about the survey you guys did back in November. I know we had you on then versus now. What are some of the big changes we've seen in how companies are now approaching the reopening?
Well, yeah, the biggest factor is just when they are planning to require people to come back into the workplace. We're also seeing that hybrid work is here to stay. We did see a lot of employers say that they are willing to allow their people to relocate to anywhere in the U.S. We saw an increase in that this time around. We also saw an increase in the type of hybrid work environment. So we know hybrid was kind of forced upon us, but this time around, we're seeing more employers say that yes, employees can come in whenever they want to. We're also seeing a shift in that employers are applying to do business in new states. And so the office is here to stay, is what we're seeing. But also, given that people are moving around and reshuffling, employers are paying attention to that and they're opening offices in new areas.
What did your findings show about leasing? Because it appears that many of the companies that you surveyed said that they are keeping their leases and they have no plans to end their leases.
That is absolutely correct. We did ask that, and most of the companies said they are not reducing their office leases. And that's pretty interesting because we've seen an exodus, or at least we thought we saw an exodus in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that might be true, but the physical workplace is here to stay. But I think people will have more options in where they can go, right? We did see that employers are opening offices in new areas. So that just might give people more options on where they can work, but the physical location will be around for a while.
So given that these companies aren't necessarily saying, okay, we're going to be 100% remote, they're keeping their leases, they're keeping their physical office structure. What will the workplace look like then when people do return? Is it going to feel different than pre-pandemic in the office?
Yeah, I think so. I think 6% have said they have already returned to the office. And what we're going to see is fewer people in the office at the same time, right? That's the hybrid work environment. You can pick and choose when you want to come into the office, and you don't have to be in the office every day. So everyone won't be in the office at the same time. I think that's going to be the biggest shift. Employers are also experimenting with more time off, so company paid time off to give people a little bit of break. And then what that environment looks like when you come into the workplace. I think we're going to see different work arrangements in that there'll be more communal space, right? Not so many desks close together. So that experience might be different. And I've even heard some companies think about creating the office space as more of a social environment. So when you come in, it's a time to connect with your colleagues, the people you haven't seen in person for almost 2 years.
Right. So one of the questions you asked about, which I think a lot of people are curious about, is the possibility of companies moving to a 4-week work week. What kind of response did you get to that?
Now, this is one I was really surprised. We've been hearing about burnout and what ways to adapt to or to help employees reduce burnout. I think 91% said they are not planning to adopt a 4-day work week. So, we've seen that adoption or that experiment in other countries, but so far all signs show that a 5-day work week is here to stay.
Womp womp, right? Everyone wants that dream 4-day work week, but not anytime soon. Netta, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited that you were here, and we have more pieces coming up later this week as well, digging into your survey. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.